This is anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. And tonight, we lift the veil on something far darker than what you were allowed to see on your screens. Something buried beneath political theater. Beneath distraction. Beneath the chaos deliberately manufactured to keep the public from noticing what was happening in the shadows of the United States government. Because while world leaders staged photo ops, while Macron received a hero's welcome at Sichuan University, while cameras focused on state visits and diplomatic smiles, the truth is that deeper horrors were unfolding. Not just across Europe, not just in Ukraine, but inside the United States itself. Horrors carried out under the Trump administration through one of its most powerful and most feared arms, ICE. But before we go there, before we expose the dark machinery Trump built within America, understand the pattern. The chaos you saw abroad was not random. It was not disconnected. It was a reflection of an administration that empowered cruelty, abandoned allies, embraced authoritarian regimes, and weaponized agencies from foreign policy to domestic enforcement. You saw French President Emmanuel Macron receiving applause in China. Yet while that was happening, France was under attack. Drones, likely of Russian origin, circled over nuclear submarines. The French military responded. Experts warned this was Russia testing NATO at a time when the United States was withdrawing from its responsibilities. Unidentified drones appeared over France's top nuclear submarine base. The military opened fire. Nobody knows if they were shot down. And this followed an assassination attempt targeting Zelensky when he arrived to speak in Ireland and received a standing ovation. Multiple Russian drones were detected directly in the path of his plane. If his plane had not landed early, Zelensky could have been killed. And not a single word of condemnation from the United States. Not a whisper of solidarity with Ukraine or Europe. Why? Because the Trump administration had already begun abandoning them. And just as Trump abandoned America's allies abroad, he abandoned humanity at home. The United States, instead of supporting Ukraine, was removing sanctions from Russia, promoting Russian oil companies like Lukoil, allowing them to operate freely through 2026, not imposing sanctions, but removing them. Trump officials even lobbied EU nations to block the use of frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine rebuild or defend itself. Trump's position was clear. Bleed Ukraine dry. Let Putin finish what he started. You did not need an intelligence briefing to see it. A simple graph told the story. No U.S. support for Ukraine. Total withdrawal. Then came a leaked phone call, obtained by Der Spiegel. European leaders told Zelensky directly that he could not trust the United States. They warned him to be careful. They said Witkoff and Kushner were acting as agents of Putin. They said Europe would protect him. But America was now playing on the other side. These were not activists. Not journalists. Not critics. These were presidents, chancellors, and NATO officials. Europe recognized what many Americans refused to accept. Under Trump, the United States had shifted from ally to threat. Trump's own national security strategy proved it. It stated America's top priority was cultivating resistance within Europe to its current trajectory, meaning destabilize Europe, undermine the EU, empower far-right nationalist movements aligned with MAGA and Putin. It praised the rise of so-called patriotic European parties, including the far-right movements in France, the UK, and Germany. This ideology did not stop at foreign policy. It was injected directly into ICE. Because, while Trump was weakening alliances abroad, he was building something monstrous at home. Under Trump, ICE became one of the most feared institutions in the United States not because it protected the nation but because it was weaponized to inflict suffering. And tonight, Anonymous exposes the dark side of ICE under Trump, using documented evidence from DHS, the Inspector General, journalists, whistleblowers, victims, and ICE agents themselves, who could no longer stomach what they were ordered to do. Cruelty was not a malfunction. It was the objective. Family separation was not an accident. It was a strategy. According to the ACLU, over 5,400 children were taken from their parents, infants included. DHS confirmed many were never tracked, never matched, never returned. Children kept in cages. Toddlers appearing alone in court with no guardian. But that was only the part the cameras caught. Inside ICE detention centers, investigators uncovered far darker truths. Medical neglect so severe that detainees died from untreated infections. Women in Georgia reporting forced hysterectomies, confirmed by DHS review. Detainees pepper sprayed for requesting soap during COVID outbreaks. Solitary confinement used on immigrants with mental health conditions. Sexual abuse reports ignored or dismissed. All under Trump. All expanding year after year. And as Trump embraced Putin abroad, ICE embraced authoritarian policing at home. Just as Trump removed sanctions from Russia, ICE removed oversight from detention centers. Just as Trump declared Europe an adversary, ICE leadership instructed agents to treat immigrants as enemy combatants. Just as Trump abandoned NATO, ICE abandoned humanity. This darkness was engineered. It came from the same ideology that praised far-right movements abroad. Movements built on fear, purity politics, and the belief that some lives are disposable. And while drones circled over France, while drones targeted Zelensky's plane, Trump's ICE deployed its own form of terror across American soil. Raids at workplaces, arrests in hospitals, ambushes at courthouses, nighttime operations designed to sow fear. CNN, AP, and The Guardian documented dozens of American citizens wrongfully detained by ICE. Some born in the United States, some with passports, some with disabilities. ICE admitted to at least 1,500 wrongful detentions during Trump's term. And while international crises grew, Trump staged distractions at home. Fake peace awards from FIFA. Manufactured political documents attacking Europe. Non-stop theatrics to shift attention away from the cruelty unfolding inside ICE facilities. Because if the public ever truly looked, they would see what Anonymous reveals tonight. ICE under Trump was not just an agency. It was a warning. A warning of what happens when fear becomes policy. When cruelty becomes governance. When a man who praises dictators gains control of domestic enforcement. Europe warned Zelensky not to trust Trump. Immigrants inside the United States learned the same lesson. You cannot trust an administration that sees human beings as bargaining chips. Trump wanted NATO broken. He wanted Europe divided. And he wanted ICE empowered to operate without restraint. ICE under Trump became the domestic equivalent of everything he admired abroad. Control without accountability. Authority without restraint. Punishment without justification. While Europe defended Ukraine, Trump defended Putin. While allies sought stability, Trump encouraged destabilization. While nations fought for democracy, Trump weaponized ICE to erode it from within. This is Anonymous. And we deliver this message with absolute clarity. If a government can take children from their mothers, if a government can detain its own citizens without cause, if a government can weaponize an agency against the powerless, then it can weaponize it against anyone. The dark side of ICE under Trump is not history. It is a warning. A blueprint. A possibility that can return if the people are silent. Do not look away. Do not forget what was done. Do not allow cruelty to become normal. This is anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Stand up. Speak out. Share the truth. And protect those who cannot protect themselves. Expect us.